Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to my channel, The Daily DIYer. We're going to be creating 3 different winter wreaths using wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. This first one is a snowball wreath, and the wreath form I'm using is one of those wicker type ones, and I wanted to make sure I painted it white before I started adding my pom-poms. Now these are from Target and I had gotten them on clearance the year prior. And so they were only, I believe, $1 for a pack of these. So I'm using 2 packs, but you can also use little pom-poms that you can find at Dollar Tree too. You'll just need obviously a lot more to cover something this big, whereas these pretty much cover quickly since they're so large. But I basically just went around the outside of the wreath and the inside of the wreath using hot glue to add all of the pom-poms onto my wreath form. And I also ended up leaving a small spot because I wanted to also add a bow. So the ribbon that I'm using is a burlap style ribbon from Dollar Tree. It has wire in it so it holds the loops really well, which I like. And I'm just tying it up, making a bunch of loops, fluffing it up, adding on a tail second, using some jute to tie it on. And that is all there was to this really simple and beautiful winter wreath. Up next is a winter scarf wreath using scarves that are made from fleece from Dollar Tree, as well as one of their wire wreath forms. So the first thing I did was to fold my scarf in half long ways, and then you'll actually want to leave some of your scarf hanging off from the bottom of your wreath form. So I would say probably a good 10 inches or so before you start wrapping your scarf around and around that wreath form. You are going to need 2 scarves for this size of wreath, and you can see here we're going to have to piece our 2 scarves together. So what I wanted to do was to cut the fringe off of the first scarf, and then also you'll want to cut off the fringe from your next scarf. And then what we're going to do is open up the first scarf so that it lays flat, and we're just going to use some hot glue to attach our 2 fabric pieces together. Once you have that in place and your glue has dried, you can go ahead and refold your scarf in half and continue wrapping it around your wreath. Now at this point you can go ahead and tie a knot to keep your scarves together, and you can call it good if you want. Or you can also at this point add even more embellishments, which is what I did. So what I did is I actually fluffed up some evergreen greenery, and I untied my scarf because I kind of wanted the scarf to hold it in place. So I just tied that greenery right into the scarf and did some more fluffing, and then also added some red berries, which helped pull in some of the red of the scarf. Time for the emoji of the day, which is a snowflake. You can leave those down in the comments below and help me decorate the comment section. If you don't have emojis, you can just leave the word snowflake. Up next is a cozy winter sweater scarf. And what I'm doing here is actually cutting the sleeves off of an old sweater that I found at the thrift store, and it was only $1. So make sure to check your own closets too. Maybe you already have one on hand and that would save you even more money. Or maybe you find one that has different patterns or prints on it that you could use too. And I'm starting with a wire wreath form from Dollar Tree and cutting it apart with some heavy duty wire cutters, and we're actually going to feed our sweater sleeves onto this wreath form. But first I'm taking some duct tape and covering up those pointy ends. That'll make it easier for us to feed our scarf onto. So I did this on both ends. And now we're ready to go ahead and start feeding our sweater sleeves onto the wreath form. You'll see I'm putting those cut ends of the sleeves together and the finished ends of the sleeves together too. You'll see shortly why we're going to do that. It's going to give it a nice finished look in the end. Now we're going to add some more duct tape over those cut ends to rejoin those pieces together. And now we need to attach our sleeves together. So you can see the raw end really needs to be folded over so it'll have a more finished look. Otherwise it could also fray and kind of get messy. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going to fold those ends over, and I'm going to be using hot glue to attach these all together. However, you can also use thread or yarn and attach them that way. It's completely up to you, whatever works. And then I'll also, once I get the cut ends attached, then I will work on gluing those finished ends together at the bottom. The cut end of my seam there was pretty thick and it was hanging down into the middle of the wreath, and I didn't want to cover that up, so I ended up just folding it over in the back and hot gluing it into place. And you don't even see it, it just kind of like tucked up the top part so you could see more of the bottom and the sides. So now I wanted to also cover up that top seam using some ribbon. So I'm just using some 2.5 inch size ribbon, creating a circle and then 2 loops on each side. I did that twice and attached those pieces together using some string. And then I also went ahead and added a tail to this separately. I have a tutorial on how to make this style of bow, and I will link that video down in the description box below. So if you need this to have more clarity, or if you need to watch it slower, definitely check out that video. There's also 3 other ribbon tutorials in that video, so it's a great resource for creating your own bows. Next, I'm adding a center piece of ribbon to cover up the string on this bow, and then I'll just hot glue the bow right to the top of the wreath, covering that top seam. All three of these wreaths were super fun to make. I would love to hear which one was your favorite. You can leave those down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click the bell, and select all so you're notified when new videos pop up on the Daily DIYer channel. I'll also have more DIY tutorials popping up on your screen that you can watch next, including that bow tutorial if you'd like to watch that. And I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.